appoint an acting chair. Who would you all like to act as chair?
Mark is usually only a few minutes late, so it probably will be a short time.
Are there any changes?
Yes, Mr. Howells.
You can have mine. Get some notes on it, but don't worry about it.
Who's been here the longest?
Lisa.
Just take over the meeting.
Yeah, he is typically a few minutes late, so can we wait for him, or should we just go ahead and proceed?
The film is starting. It starts out at 6:30.
So I think we need a motion to have a,
Or just, yes, or consensus on the acting chair. Lisa Tuttle has been, she is a senior member.
That I am.
I move Lisa to be the chair for this meeting.
Okay.
Okay.
Would you call the meeting to order, please?
Okay. Let's see. Parks and Rec meeting tonight, Tuesday, August 24th, 2021, 6:30 p.m. Okay. We need to approve the meetings, the minutes from July.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Want to start?
I'm Marty Armstrong.
Lisa Tuttle.
Patrick Raftery.
Scott Thomas.
Jim Halios.
All right, we have a first. Do we have a second?
Second the motion.
Okay. Meeting or
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye. Okay. Do we have any citizens to be heard regarding items not on the agenda? Thank you.
My name is Lisa Lanza, and I wanted to thank your chair, Bruce Rector. He's not here, but I wanted to let you know he did come to our neighborhood, and we have a really, here comes another member. Stop the clock. Yeah, and it's always good to introduce, because and loud too, because people are really watching and they can't hear, they don't know who you are, and it's great anyway just to know who you are, so we can communicate with you if we see you out and about. Okay, so again, I wanted to thank you. Did you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, yes, I'm Mark Rodriguez, I'm vice chair. Apologies, it's just weather, inclement weather, so.
So, can I start again, or not? Let's see, 2:30. Is that my minutes over here? Okay. Well, yes, he came to our neighborhood, and we really had some nice upgrades to our neighborhood. Valencia Park, Cedar Grove. It's quite an interesting history to the neighborhood. If you ever want to come out, I'll walk around with you like I did with Mr. Rector, and tell you the history of the neighborhood. Many people don't even think our neighborhood's in the city of Clearwater because it's boundaried by, is that the right word? By Union, and so we've got Dunedin and the county and the city all kind of meeting right there. Also, the new Douglas Hackworth property, park, county park, or is it going to be city park? I'm not really sure, but that's right on. That'll be a park that we'll have really good access to. Kind of going all over the place like I usually do, but I've been talking to Whip Lanton about doing something with a way to connect the Duke Power Trail to the Pinellas Trail, and I've seen a lot of people riding bikes on Montclair, which is the southern boundary of my neighborhood, and I stop and ask them, why are you using Montclair? Where are you going? And they say they're coming from the Duke Power Trail over to the Pinellas Trail. And then I say, well, why are you using Montclair? And they're saying, because Google is already directing them to use Montclair. So I did want to ask, like, is this the board that's in charge of, or responsible for, or that we go to when we have questions about the trails that Clearwater owns, like the Druid Road Trail? And I guess that's our only trail right now, is the Druid Road Trail, right? That we actually own. Oh, the Ream Wilson Trail. Yeah. And then the Courtney Campbell. part of the Courtney Campbell we're also responsible for. So if you could bring that up sometime, like, is this the board that we come to when it comes to the bicycle trail? Okay, so back to what I was saying. And back to talking to Mr. Blanton with Forward Pinellas about Montclair Road, if there's, I've talked to some of the neighbors in the area, and possibly I want to see if we can make that a complete street where people could use that to get as a bypass between the Dew Power Trail, the Ring Wilson Trail, because they all, you know how they all connect if you ride the trails around here, and then coming up Hercules and then to Virginia. Well, it would go by our park, which is Valencia Park, which is a public park, which I didn't finish on that. We've got a beautiful new playground that the city gave us, and they redid the tennis courts and the basketball courts, and we really appreciate it so much. But if you continue, oh, and across the street that we just discovered, that across the street from Valencia Park is another beautiful tree shaded park. We didn't even know the city owned it. Thank you.
We need to make a motion to have Mr. Rodriguez assume the vice chair of this meeting, or just continue with Lisa?
I'm not sure how that works. I think the acting chair continues.
Continue? Okay.
All right, so that, I believe, sorry, again, apologize about the delay, and I believe we were at section 3, correct, citizens to be heard?
Yes.
All right, if there are any other citizens to be heard, we'll move forward to number 4, new business items. 4.1, update on the August 3rd meeting with Lake Bellevue residents on park improvements.
Yes, and actually, we were contacted by Ed Thebe, who is with the Community Service Foundation, and he kind of helps guide the Lake Bellevue community for their neighborhood meetings. And they've actually requested us to attend the September meeting because they were concerned that they were not going to have enough of a presence from the neighborhood just because they did not have a July meeting because of the holiday. So Ed contacted me and asked for myself and my staff to attend the September meeting so that way they could publicize it a little more and get some more people out there. So the meeting is September 7th, and we will be attending that. That's the Tuesday after Labor Day, and it's at the Ross Norton Recreation Complex.
Was there actually a meeting held on the 3rd of August that Bruce Rector attended on behalf of the?
Well, no, actually, as soon as I found that out, I let Bruce know that we weren't going to be discussing that item, so I don't believe he attended either.
Okay, and was there any discussion at all on the 7th of August, I beg your pardon, on the 3rd of August meeting? Was there any get-together?
They may have, I think they had a general kind of membership meeting that they have over there, but there was not one specifically to talk about the improvements to Ed Wright and Lake Bellevue.
Yeah, I put this item on the agenda basically because previously residents of that area had indicated they had some small improvements that they were going to ask to be added by the Parks and Recreation in advance of having to be budgeted. And I thought this meeting might present them an opportunity to hear whether those things could be done or not. So now I'll assume that will probably take place on the 7th.
That's correct, yes.
Meeting, okay.
Any other comments or questions? No? All right, moving along. 4.2, Parks and Recreation Master Plan Update.
Yes, we're actually getting to the point with the master plan where we actually found out some good news today where we don't think we're going to need to go out to an RFP for that because Forward Pinellas had done a very comprehensive RFP process for their master plan. And there's some elements in there that we believe we can piggyback off of. So this will give us probably about a 60-day head start on the master plan process. And speaking with our co-workers up in planning and zoning, one of the things that has been very positive that we've heard is that.
Please speak up, please. It's very muffled and.
Okay, you're interrupting the meeting, so, all right. So what we would need to do is we've had multiple conversations with them. So what they believe is that they're getting quite a bit of feedback from the public asking about parks in the comp plan meetings. So we're going to have a very robust engagement process, and through that, we think that we're going to have a lot of help from the public to engage with this 10-year plan for the Parks Department. So what we'll do is we'll again, once we have the date set, we'll go out there, but we're going to actually work with the planning department, and they're going to take their parks part of the comp plan that they were looking to do and kind of take that back a little bit. So that way, what we'll be able to, it won't be redundant, and it'll be more park-centric instead of more of a zoning-centric plan within their comp plan. So that's the update on that.
So in that process, there will be a venue for the public to provide their input that you're talking about?
Yes, we'll have multiple sessions, and there's a very robust public input process.
The reason I had this item added was that there's a number of issues that have come up before the board that have been deferred to become possibly part of the master plan. So I've made notes of those, and I did not want to lose sight of them, but just kind of wanted to understand, are they possibly going to become part of the plan, or for good reasons, will they not become part of the plan? So I'm trying to keep an eye on a couple of items that citizens brought up previously before. So it sounds like it'll be a good forum to do that as well.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what I've told, when we get citizens that inquire about adding things to our current inventory, which we really, currently don't have or don't do, this is the opportunity for, them to come forward and voice those kind of needs and wants, and then the community as a whole will have a opportunity to chime in and, for lack of a better word, kind of vote on it and see what those priorities are in the 10 years moving forward.
Excellent.
Any other comments or questions? All right, we'll move forward to 4.3, review July 27, 2021 project update report.
Yes, and I've attached to your agendas the project update report for July. So if you have any questions on any of those projects that are on there, I'd be happy to answer them for you. They're pretty similar and standard to the ones that were issued for the July report, with the exception being that a few of those items on there went to council for approval and will be moving forward with most notably the Ross Norton Recreation Center pool restoration. That'll occur in October once we kind of close down the pool for the season. And there's, I believe, another item in there that'll be going soon is the HVAC replacement at Spectrum Field. So that'll be coming in October.
We had previously seen this project summary update with the updates from July 27th, and I happened to attend the council meeting on August 5th where some of these things were in fact approved by them. I was wondering if there's any objection from the advisory board, if perhaps we go through item by item that's on the current project list for any updates that we could add to it at this meeting, or I have a couple of questions on a couple of items as well. Is there any objection to doing that? It's about 12 projects on it, if you will. And the whole intent of this was to say, if there are any updates, let's hear about them, and if from the actions of the council on the 5th of August, there could be updates, I just want to make sure that we're aware of those and possibly changing those.
So I would suggest that we just go through the ones that say update on the right, because there are some that have no update, so there's probably no sense of rehashing something that doesn't have an update since the last time we talked about it.
Right, but I think some of the updates have come from the council that may not be on here. I'll check it.
Do we have any?
For
Are there any
example,
that have been updated yet, or just?
have not been updated. For example, the second item on the list, Countryside Sports Complex.
Yeah, well, that says update, but I'm saying, like, look at the one above that, it says no
No update,
update.
yes, skipping the
So
ones
I
that
don't
say
think
no.
we should rehash
Oh, no, I'm just saying we
Yeah.
can just go by that one, I would think. I agree with that, but there are some of them that I think that perhaps would have an update to them.
Up to the board, however you guys
I mean,
want
it's up to you. I'm just trying to keep it current with respect to any activities been taken, particularly if the council has approved something to go forward, then I'd like to see, at least from the standpoint of updating it, that we are now progressing beyond just the update from July 27th. We may have even established an ending date for that particular project. For example, on the second item, Countryside Sports Complex, the award of contract going to the city council in August for approval. It actually did go to the city council, and they did approve it on the 5th of August. I was there at that meeting. And my concern and question is, with that approval on the 5th of August, does that mean the December 2021 date is in fact valid? Or is it a date that can now be checked?
That'll be updated at the next project that we have for the 827. We only update these monthly, so when they come out, and unfortunately, the way it falls, it's a month behind. So when it comes out for our next meeting, when we have the August meeting, then that will be updated, and those changes will be reflected on there if there's any that are needed.
Okay, so basically you should sit tight then.
Yeah, and just because there's a lot of moving parts in that, if we don't anticipate, like I said, staff updates these every month, and they'll go through it, and if they believe that the start or the end time is gonna be pushed back, they'll adjust it accordingly. But it is looked at and touched every month, and we actually have an internal staff meeting where we discuss these as well.
Okay. If I could, just to ask for clarification for myself, then the very last item on that front page, fitness equipment, project total of $3,000 has been allocated to the Long Center, $8,000 still pending for CRC. I'm just curious as to where does the monies for the CRC stand? Is it going to be proposed to the council, or is it being considered to be proposed, et cetera? To me, it seems like.
No, it's a CIP, so it's a capital improvement project. So every year we budget money in a capital improvement project for fitness equipment for the entire, within our entire system.
Okay.
So what we do, and that's why it's ongoing, is we go through the year and we go ahead and process it. So it's not this CIP was addressed for this budget year back in, actually probably February or March of last year.
Right.
And so every year we have a CIP, a capital improvement project is specifically for fitness equipment. So it's not a line item that gets addressed by the council at a particular meeting. It's just once a year per the budget, and then based on needs, we work with our facility supervisors, and they kind of go through if they've got equipment that is breaking down quite frequently, then we go through and we replace it based off of that.
So it would be safe to assume that the Long Center activity is going to proceed with replacing the bikes, but the activities for the Countryside Rec Center probably will not be proceeding as no funds have been allocated to it.
No, I wouldn't say that's correct, because if you look off to the side, they'll be replacing a few pieces of equipment, but I don't know that they've certainly probably identified yet what equipment they're going to be replacing.
Okay.
So for the ones that don't have, you'll probably give us, could we request, I guess, an update later on, like in an email later on in a couple of weeks, and that way we'll be a little bit
Yeah,
more
well,
current?
I'll send you as soon, in like 2 weeks, because what I try to do is, I know we're rehashing this when I get this to me, when I get it fresh, I send it to you guys, so you have a chance to put your eyes on it, so we have a little more robust discussion for the meeting. So, hopefully by then, they may say, okay, we're going to replace I'm just going to throw something out there, a treadmill,
Right.
a elliptical, and then that'll be on there and that'll be updated, so it'll be reflective in that change.
And I mean, my suggestion would be if we can get this, like you said, every month, and then we can come with questions. And we could kind of have this as a point of the agenda each month, that if we want to ask questions specific to these items, we can do that. But obviously, I think we could all read as well, so I don't want to rehash something that,
Yeah, and I understand. I think the disconnect is the date for updating this project report versus the times of our meetings. We're meeting August 24th. This update is from July 27th. There's not an update to us now, so we will not see that until September. And I understand and appreciate the disconnect, but if you could send that out, then at least we could be current with it. Coming from a project management background, one of the things that I think is important for us is this is a blueprint or footprint of what Parks and Recreation intends to accomplish. Might very well be part of our report to the council of what we have accomplished as a Parks and Recreation Department. So from my standpoint, it's very important that be kept as accurate and current as possible, including completion dates that are relatively reflective of where the action really is, or if it more should be appropriate and noted as to be determined, because it's unknown when it might be completed as opposed to a target date that we could focus on. That's the reason I'm bringing it up, and certainly I have no problem doing it going forward when the next report comes out, because I would like to be focused on these projects and where they stand on each month meeting that we have.
Yeah, and I'll check I believe I sent out that for this July report as soon as I received it 2 days after. I'll double check to make sure. But it is on my calendar, so as soon as I get it, I'll make sure staff send that out.
Okay,
Thank you.
that sounds reasonable.
All right, moving forward, see if we have any old business items.
On that particular item, I think we would have to ask if there's any questions or comments.
Oh, you're right, it's pardon me. For 4.3, if we have any comments, questions, please? Please come forward, yes.
Okay, Lisa Lanza, Valencia Park, Cedar Grove neighborhood.
I'm sorry, what neighborhood is it called?
Oh, it's the Valencia Park,
Thank you.
Cedar Grove. It's got quite an interesting history. If you ever come out for a walk, and I'll explain it all to you. So the first one, it's on the Baycare Ballpark Carpenter Complex, no update. I watched the county commission meetings, and the county administrator keeps saying they just can't seem to come to any agreement. So it will be interesting to see what's going to come of that. The other one, if that's true or not, but that's the way I understood the county administrator's comments to be. Then another one, I wanted the public to know that there are no plans to purchase any land. No land acquisitions are on the agenda at this point for Clearwater, for Parks and Rec. And about the landings, connect to the irrigation system to reuse water. I know when we did the research on the landings referendum, the Swift Mud didn't seem to have any problem with them using the well water because the irrigation goes right back in place and it recharges the aquifer. So, there was someone from the county who really didn't think the city should hook up to the reclaimed water, and he's a pretty knowledgeable guy. And so I would love to see you look into this a little bit more to see why is the city encouraging the landings to hook up to reclaim water if it's not necessary, if there's adequate water there. If you ever get a chance to drive around the landings area, you will see the amount of water that sits around Hercules. And even on the city site, they even have a big area for the water to be able to drain. So we've had flooding and water issues, stormwater issues up in that area because that's where I live for forever. So, but it's a great place for recharging the aquifer. And and a lot of wells are around there too, where they do suck out water for the beach in particular, and downtown and the rest of the city. Okay, and then the other one was about the Joe Dimaggio Complex. Last year or the year before, the city signed a contract with the Phillies soccer professional team. And I just wanted to know, do you ever review contracts that the city has do you look at the city parks contracts with either organizations like the Phillies professional soccer team, or even the contracts that they have for the management? Because once I asked for it, and there's this huge contract for managing the ballparks, you know, I don't know if it's exactly a contract, but it's how they manage the ballparks, how many people are hired, the people, you know, the organizations that use them, they pay $50 an hour and they get a key. I mean, it's complicated, but I wonder if you ever want to drill down, that'd be something interesting to look into. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. I had one follow-up thing I wanted to ask about that landing golf course thing, if I might. It says a letter is sent to Swift Mud on behalf of the Hustons. Are the Hustons the people that run the landings?
They're the leasee, yes.
And we've issued a letter on their behalf to Swift Mud to allow the hookup to occur. Is that what that's about?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay.
That's all through public utilities. But
Okay,
since we're the holder of the lease, the Parks and Rec
Yeah.
Department, that's who we're working through.
Yeah, I thought that's what it was, and that's one of the questions I had, is to clarify that, okay? And would contract review would not fall under our purview anyway?
No, it would not. It wouldn't be under
Yeah,
the purview.
we don't get involved in that. So. Okay.
Anyone else has any comments or questions or concerns? Okay. Seeing we have no old business items, let's move over to number 6, Director's Report.
Yeah, but actually not much to report as far as anything. You know, I think really the project update is going to be kind of my report to you guys, and keeping you abreast of any situations that go with that, and then updating you, you know, on the master plan, of course, as we move forward with that. That'll be important, and also the meeting with the Lake Bellevue residents on the 7th. So those are kind of the things on the agenda for us in the next few months on the horizon that we'll be working towards.
Okay. And I think we all got the invitation about the groundbreaking on the.
Yeah,
first.
and thank you, Board Member Rafferty. You forgot to mention that we'll be having the groundbreaking on Friday the 3rd. It's actually going to be out here on the terrace for Imagine Clearwater. So that has been set at 9 o'clock. I kind of sent out a little save the date. When I get a more formal information, I'll send it to everybody, but we'd love to have you.
All right. Any comments or questions? Moving forward, number 7, board members to be heard.
I just wanted to ask on this Parks and Rec master plan update, do we have input on that master plan, or is that just within the staff, or, I mean?
No, there's going to be a public outreach component, and as part of the Parks and Rec Advisory Board, you'll be a component of that public outreach.
And when is that going to start?
You know, I couldn't tell you. I think we're probably, the way things are going, if we get someone on board, I would say we're probably going to wait till after the new year to get it started, just because, you know, if we bring a consultant, let's say we bring a consultant on board within the next 30 days, then that puts us at October 1st. And then, you know, I guess what I would find out is how robust is our public engagement going to be if we do it in November and December over the holidays. So I would probably, it'd be safe to say, looking towards after the first of the year to do it, just because I think traditionally we found in those timeframes in the November, December area, we don't get as much public engagement as we would just because of the holidays.
Right. Have you selected a consultant to do that?
Not yet, no.
Okay. When is that going to happen?
Well, that'll be, you know, we're still kind of looking at that process to see who's kind of going to be shortlisted on that. So once we have that, then we'll have an internal team that works with not just Parks and Rec. We'll have our planning people on board and a couple other different internal stakeholders, and then they'll make a recommendation based off of the proposals and things.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I had an update I'd like to provide to the board regarding the gas tax increase that was proposed at the county commissioners. It was basically proposed that the gas tax in Pinellas County be raised from 7 cents a gallon to 12 cents a gallon. And my interest in that, as well as ours, is because some of those funds will go to the transportation fund and will end up in municipalities to repair sidewalks, mowing, right-of-way, but my particular interest is additional funding for sidewalks. Unfortunately, on the 3rd of August, the commissioners decided that they would not allow the increase from 7 cents a gallon to 12 cents a gallon. What they preferred to do was to slightly increase the millage rate for the county. Previously, it had been proposed that the millage rate be rolled back a bit because of the increase in property values and increase the gas tax for the transportation fund. They decided to not increase the gas tax, but in fact to request a slight increase of the millage rate for the county to try and raise some funds for the transportation fund. The transportation fund is in serious issue because it'll be in a terrible deficit by the end of 2022 of $3.3 million. And those funds are used for mowing, right-of-ways, road maintenance, as well as sidewalk repair. And sidewalk repair falls under the purview of Parks and Recreation. So that's where my interest is with respect to that. So we'll just have to see what the county decides on that. The other point I'd like to raise is, and Jim, you might be able to help me out on this one. Lisa was kind enough to invite Bruce as well as myself to tour her area to see what improvements have been made and things that have been done. And Bruce actually made that tour, and I was thinking he might be able to make a slight report as to what he observed while he was there, but he's absent today. I've also been invited and might very well do that. Is there any reason or problem with me doing that, or should I not?
No, I don't think there's any issue with you doing that. I would just encourage you, if you do it, to just, you know, make sure that you're doing it by yourself, not with any other
right.
advisory board members. But other than that, you're fine. And then if you wanted to come back and put an item on the agenda regarding that, then we'd be more than happy to do it.
Right, and I'm suspecting that if Bruce were here, he would probably be able to give us some type of update with his observations when he did it. So I may or may not do it, but I just wanted to make sure it was okay to do that. Okay. That's all I had.
Thank you. Anyone else? I'd just like to take this moment really quickly to mention the passing of Bill Horn. He was a very genuine and amiable person who took the time to speak with us. I've talked to him on many occasions, and just want to publicly say condolences to his family and friends, and I'm sure his presence and his leadership, it will be missed. Thank you. All right. Anyone else? I move to adjourn.
Second that.